Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and this here is my tiny craft corner where I talk about knitting and sometimes other yarn related stuff. So today I wanted to share with you my knitting resolutions, or just my crafting resolutions for the next year. So let's get into it. Obviously the year's almost over, it's December, and I made 10 resolutions for next year and I'd like to share them with you. So first of all, destashing. I think this is high on pretty much everyone's list, everyone that I know. Everyone needs to destash or wants to destash, pretty much. And I've been trying to destash for the past few months. It's not been going that great. If you watched my previous videos, you know that we had some hiccups with the Breidagen, a yarn fair in the Netherlands, and my grandma, who gave me a lot of yarn, which we love, but there's now even more yarn. So I'm currently around 140, maybe 150 skeins. I think it must be over 150 because I didn't add the recent acquisitions from my grandma to my tally yet. So I think we're well over 150 skeins going into the new year, and that's a lot. So I'm really trying to destash here. And I made some milestones for myself for the next year, which are first 125 skeins. So that's just going down a little bit, then 100, then 75, and next 50. And anything below that would be great. But my dream stash, my dream goal is not a number, but more a amount. So my goal would be to have two quantities of anything, basically. So 2 sweater quantities, 2 summer top quantities, 2 cardigan quantities, and 2 sock quantities. Just have 2 of each, which is still pretty high. I would love to one day get it down to 1 or maybe even 0. But for now, in the current stage where I am in, I just started knitting a year ago. There are still lots of things to figure out with preferences. So yeah, it's not reasonable for me to go down to a 0 stash now when I don't know what I like yet. I'm still figuring everything out, so limiting myself to a tiny stash. It's not high on my priority list, but limiting myself to some stash that can actually fit in this apartment would be great. Yeah, that's my first resolution, is just to destash. So try not to buy too much yarn and use up what you have. Then the second resolution kind of contradicts that, because that is go for the fancy yarn. I really am a big believer in, if I can get it cheaper, I will. Which is not that great because the cheaper options are maybe not that nice for quality, and I'm knitting stuff for myself that I will wear for years, hopefully. So I shouldn't be trying to get a bargain every time I'm buying yarn. So yeah, go for the fancy yarn, go for the hand-dyed yarn, maybe make a hand-dyed sweater someday. I have some sock quantities of hand-dyed yarn because I can't really reason to have a full sweater quantity of hand-dyed yarn laying around. But I really want that. I really want the soft yarn, the beautiful, just high quality yarn. I would love to have that. So buy less yarn, but go for the fancy options. And that will maybe cost a bit more, but maybe also not, because I'm not buying that much yarn. I'm not sure how that will play out yet, but yeah, first two are don't buy yarn and buy fancy yarn. It's the first two resolutions. Then we're going to the third, which is only knit what you want to wear, which makes sense. It's really not that big of a revelation of a resolution, but when I noticed the habit of substituting yarn and substituting it in a weird way where even the yarn types, the fibers, are substituted. And that is not really going to be stuff that I will want to wear for ages. For example, I now knit a summer top in acrylic yarn, which you know is not that great, and I have a lot of acrylic yarn left. And I just know that if I knit a sweater out of acrylic yarn, I will not want to wear it. So only knit what you want to wear means also go for the fancy yarn, go for the natural fibers, or go for whatever the pattern suggests, basically. I am sometimes substituting like silk or merino or that kind of stuff for cotton, and the textures are just so different. So that's also not what I will want to wear. So yeah, that's basically the third one. Also, I sometimes go for like, oh my god, this pattern looks incredible, I'll knit this up right away because it looks so beautiful, not really thinking if I actually like the pattern on myself or if I just like the pattern on the picture. And that's something that I really want. Yeah, it's something that I just really want to sit with for a bit when I'm picking out patterns, because I obviously need to wear the items. Well, I don't need to, but if I'm spending hours of work for a sweater or a sock or whatever, I will want to wear it. I just need to make more stuff that I want to wear. Which is not to say that anything I knit before this is not stuff that I want to wear. But in my queue currently, there are some things that I'm like, do I want this because it's trendy, or do I want this because I like it? Yeah, that's basically the third resolution. And the fourth one is prioritize smaller creators when choosing a pattern. So I have made a list previously on everything I wanted for fall and winter if I had the time, and a lot of that was my favorite things knitwear. And I love their patterns, I love the simplicity, but they're also a big business, obviously, so I don't just want to knit from them. I have some friends who make patterns. I follow a lot of small designers on Instagram. I would just love to knit more from them, to just basically just to support them. And I also really love those patterns, but somehow my favorite things knitwear keeps popping up. I'm currently knitting the sweater number 16, and after that I will be knitting the sweater number 14, and then the number 15. You get it, there's just a lot of my favorite things knitwear heavy cycle going on in my house, which I still love the patterns. I will knit those up, but moving forward I will prefer to maybe also knit from some smaller designers. Yeah, that basically. Then number 5 would be finish what you started, and that goal will be to have 3 whips going on. No more than that. I started out doing really well with maybe 1 or 2 whips going on, and then it got crazy out of hand, and I ended up with maybe somewhere around 6 or 8 whips laying around that I'm like actively rotating between, and then some others that are hibernating, and it's just a mess, both in my house and in my mind. There's just so much going on, and I would really like to get down to 3 whips, and preferably one of them would be a tray knit, so small, easily portable socks, for example. One would be a TV knit, so maybe just ribbing or straight stockinette, or not something with cables or increases, decreases, stuff like that. And then one attention knit, which would just have my full attention when I'm working on it, so cables or weird increases, decreases, that kind of thing. So 3 whips laying around would be preferable, but it's a goal, so it's probably not going to happen in the first few months, but moving forward at the end of the year, maybe halfway through the year, I'd love to be at a point where I only have 3 whips. And I know 3 is still a lot. So there are people doing 1 whip at a time, and I really admire them. But for me, 3 is a pretty big step already. So then number 6 would be to learn to crochet. I have tried crocheting before. I tried one water bottle holder, and I really liked it. It's a magic ring, and I know that's a weird thing to start out with, but I did. And it looked okay-ish the first 3 attempts, and I really just have to front it back, pick it up again, and just go for it. But also with the 6 other whips going around and all the Christmas knitting going on, I just didn't have the time to do it. And I would really learn how to crochet. Just have 2 yarny crafts under my belt that I can rotate between. And I also think that crocheting gives you a bit more freedom, as in where the garment will go. Because knitting, you obviously just go in circles or back and forth, or, well, you can do increases and decreases, but it's not that much you can do. And with crocheting, I feel like every stitch you can just go in a whole new direction. And that freedom and creativity is something that I would really love to learn in the next year. So crocheting is pretty high on my list. Another craft that I want to learn how to do is sewing. So I do have a sewing machine. My grandma gifted it for me last summer. And yeah, I would love to learn how to use it, but I haven't yet had the time to do that. And I'm also a bit scared of the sewing machine because I just don't know how it works. And it's a big machine. So maybe I would love to take up some sewing lessons or something. Just, I want to learn how to sew and just make more clothes, basically. I really like the sustainable idea of making my own stuff. And I do notice that I'm not buying as much clothing items for myself anymore. After starting to learn how to knit, I practically only buy secondhand now, except for a few things like pants and stuff. I practically only buy secondhand, but I would love to reduce that even more and just really make a wardrobe. So having a me-made wardrobe would be incredible. So sewing next to crocheting, pretty high up my list. Then a knitting related resolution again is to learn new stitches. I basically know knit and purl, and I can do increases, decreases. I can do yarn over and all that stuff, but really fancy lace work, for example, or brioche, that knitting would be amazing to learn. Half fisherman's rib or fisherman's rib, just those fancier stitches. I would like to pay more attention to them. Cables I can do, but I don't have that much experience with so far. So learning how to do those properly and maybe do more fancy cables than just 2x2 or 3x3 cables would be great. Then the 9th resolution already is to learn how to knit for myself. I'm a really bad, well, it's not bad, it's good, but it's weird. I practically only gift knit. I'm always working on a gift knit next to project for myself, and I love it. I love gifting people things, but I also love making things for myself. And not everyone wants a sock or a dishcloth or a scarf every single birthday and Christmas and just whenever I feel like it. because I also gifted my parents socks just because. For example, yeah. I need to learn how to knit for myself and not walk in the yarn store, think, oh, this would be great to work on for XYZ person. I would love to make things for myself because I've knit a lot over the past year, but more than half of it was for other people, which I love, but that's just, I just shared with you that I really want a me-made wardrobe, and then I'm gifting everything that I make away. So that doesn't really make sense. I really want to make more stuff for myself. Just have a few sweaters laying around, a few summer tops. I have maybe 3 summer tops laying around currently that I made. I have 1 cardigan, I have a sweater. You see them all in my 2022 wrap-up video that will come out at the end of the year somewhere. I just haven't made that much for myself. I think I made 4 pairs of socks and I only have 1 pair. That just goes to show there is a lot to learn there, and I really just want to make stuff for myself. But I have to learn how to do that. And then the 10th resolution is a bit more social media-ish, I think, which is to share more. I obviously share videos with you every single week, and on YouTube I feel like I share enough, or yeah, a good amount. But on Instagram I do have an Instagram that I will pop here, and well, you will also be able to find it down below. Yeah, I would like to share more there because, as you can see, there's not that much for a person who's been knitting a year and has been finishing projects at a pretty decent rate. There's just not so much to show for it. And I really like the idea of having my Instagram page as an archive of what I made, to just flip through and be like, oh yeah, I did that. And also for all my gift knits, just to have them in one place where I can look at them, because obviously I won't be seeing them in my daily life as they are with the people I gifted it to. But yeah, I would like to share more on Instagram, and maybe I can use the community tab on YouTube a bit more to share stuff with you here as well. But those were my 10 resolutions. Let me know down below if you will be implementing any of these resolutions for yourself, or if you have completely different craft or yarny resolutions for the next year. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye!